I've always had a gigantic problem. I've lived two lives. One life where I was stuck, no roadmap, no goals, and no hunger. My other life, well, I was crushing it. I would tap into my strengths, deliver real results, and I actually felt alive both at work and at home. The only problem, I was only able to channel my second life, my supercharged life, from time to time. I would be motivated for a bit, get some work done, but then will fall right back into the same old habits. Knowing this, after some serious self-reflection, I started to try a lot of shit. Complex note-taking systems, expensive productivity courses, piles of unused stationery. I even convinced myself that watching successful people's vlogs was somehow productive and counted as me learning. Yes, that's a true story. Obviously, nothing worked. It didn't work because none of that shit really matters. I needed to get disciplined, but that's easier said than done. What I craved was a system that would force me into a disciplined life. I needed something to hold me accountable. More importantly, I needed something to take the guesswork out of it when I came to sit down at my desk. That's when I discovered what I'm going to share with you today. The biggest productivity hack, if that's even a thing, that I've ever came across. I refer to it as forcing urgency upon yourself. Many have dubbed this method the 12-week year. Brian Moran and Michael Lennington popularized this approach in their book, appropriately named the 12-week year. The concept is very simple to understand. Your goal is to now achieve in 12 weeks what used to take you 12 months. The biggest takeaway this system has taught me is this: it's not enough to have the intention of changing. You have to act on that intention for things to get better, and not just once, but consistently. But before I dive into the how-tos, let's understand the framework just a bit more. Right now, 95% of people think of time in terms of years. Now, there's nothing wrong with that in situations that need context, but it breaks down very quickly when you use it for goal planning. So our main focus must start with discarding annualized thinking, which in short is the mistaken belief that there is plenty of time left in the year to achieve your goals, which leads to a lack of urgency and reduced productivity. It creates the perspective in your mind that all the time in the world is available when really we both know it isn't. You lack urgency when accompanied by this annualized thinking. We must redefine our workflow to encourage high productivity throughout every day, every week, and what we will come to know as our new cycle, the 12-week year. Now, some of you already might be asking, how do we accomplish this lofty goal of reducing an entire year into 12 short weeks? And honestly, I'm glad you asked. And even if you didn't ask, I'm just going to tell you anyway. We're going to use this method that the top performers have been using for decades. This method is called periodization. The rich have been using this skill to move past the lazy and stagnant. And if you ask me, it's about time that we steal it. It's literally all about breaking down your time into focused, concentrated periods that you dedicate to mastering a specific aspect of your life, or in this case, a goal. By viewing our calendar in the quarter system rather than annually, we see vast benefits across the board in multiple areas. This allows better predictability as we are much more in tune with whether we are on track or not. This also allows us to focus purely on one or two specific goals and their branch off tasks. Plus, it allows you to overload these goals so that you have a higher chance of achieving them. And then to top all of it off, it provides a natural break and a critical reset in the 13th week that we're going to cover here at the end of the video. Now, I'm not slow. I know some of you are a little skeptical still. What does this look like practically? Well, consider two people chasing the same dreams. By December, they both want to drop 20 pounds, move from hourly to a salary position that will be more pay, build their personal brand, and finish a half marathon. Person A dives into the new year with the typical January enthusiasm. They try juggling all four goals at once, spreading their energy thin across every front. But by April, nothing's changed. No tracking, no game plan, not even a clear vision of what success would feel like, just burnout and disappointment. Person B takes in a different approach. They break the new year in with focused 12-week sprints. Sprint 1, it's to drop those 20 pounds. They track every calorie, complete every workout, and monitor their progress daily. The strategy works, so by week 11, they've already hit their target. Their plan is unfolding strategically. Now that they've lost that big back, their weight loss improves their focus, boosting work performance for that Q2 promotion, and then that moves them from hourly to salary, creating more time for their content side hustle, further helping build their personal brand. And now with a slimmer, stronger body, that Q3 half marathon becomes Easy peasy. I want you to notice while person A remains stuck at the starting line, person B is already celebrating multiple wins. This is what I mean by periodization. Breaking these huge, lofty ass goals into a much more manageable game plan that spans only a few weeks, not 365 days. If you follow closely, this process will get you rich, healthy, and living your best life. But to accomplish this though, we must master the 5 disciplines of building an urgent mind. Now, before we dive into those 5 disciplines, I have a quick favor to ask. I need y'all to please hit that like and subscribe button if you're still here. My name is Roy, and I'm documenting my entire journey from 0 to 1 million in yearly revenue from my online business. I share updates in every video, and as of now, we are at a whopping $0. So if you want to follow your boy for this adventure from the ground up and see exactly how I'm growing, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Also, if you want, you can get these videos in written format a day before if you subscribe to my newsletter in the description. The first of our 5 disciplines. Discipline 1, create a compelling vision. The first step you cannot ignore is compiling your future vision, the vision you've always wanted for yourself. And I mean, really get into the weeds of your vision. Examine your environment, emotions, beliefs, your life's purpose, everything that revolves around your day-to-day life that your future you would be in tune with. So this should not be a quick process. You need to really sit there and marinate on this. When you imagine a world that is freakishly crazy, I'm talking about freaky, like Diddy freaky, and makes you a bit uncomfortable, you know you're in the right spot. Having this high bar will fuel you emotionally to stay on track throughout the process. That's why it's so important. You have to believe it in your head that you're destined for this vision that you set. So really, honestly, no matter how crazy you think it is, the next Elon Musk, Sam Altman, sitting on 20 properties throughout America, working remotely in a fucking jungle. I don't care what it is. Only having to work 4 hours a week or not working at all. Whatever it is, you need to be emotionally connected to it so that you can use it as fuel to push you through the inevitable downs in this process. If you still are having trouble creating a vision, then focus on the anti-vision. Start there. Whatever you don't want to become, focus on the opposite of that. And I got to give credit where credit is due. I learned about that hack from Dan Coe. I'll link a video in the description if you're having trouble coming up with a vision. Realize though that as you progress towards your dream, you will naturally move through 4 stages of your vision. The first stage in these 4 stages is the impossible stage. This is going to be your vision at the start. It's going to feel unattainable due to the lack of a clear path to your vision because you're so far away from it. Now, I got to warn you, you must keep working during this process and overcome the uncomfortable. Now, just to share a little bit with you right now, I don't even know if you can see this, but it's 10:49 at night. I got work in 7 hours literally in the morning, and I'm still here being uncomfortable, leaning into it, and just doing the work. So when you're in this impossible stage, just know that there's going to be times where you have to overextend yourself, and overextending yourself can look completely different in a lot of different ways. But you'll know when you start to pull away from certain things because you know it's getting uncomfortable, or you know that the old you wouldn't be doing shit like that. That's when you got to break it and you got to say, yeah, nah, I'm going to get that shit done. Now, the second stage in this 4 stages in your vision is the possible stage. This is when your emotional engagement grows as the benefits of your hard work become tangible in the real world. Once you move past stage 2 is stage 3, the probable stage. Your planning in the past has now made your goals feel like they are likely to be achieved. So this is well into your vision. This is you putting in weeks, months, years of work, and you're finally getting to the point where you're starting to see the fruits of your labor blossom and grow. And then that's when the last stage hits, the given stage. Your vision is basically inevitable at this point. It is only a matter of time at the rate you are currently producing. Only with structured planning and clarity do we move from the impossible to probable stage. And then by fine-tuning certain aspects of that, do we get to hit on the probable and given stages. Now, I gotta say this too, that execution is king, right? No matter how good your plan is, if you don't follow through, it literally means nothing. So you've been warned, right? No matter what you dream up, no matter what life you think you deserve, do not execute on any of this shit. You might as well just turn off the video now, pop, it ain't gonna work out. Now, the second discipline, plan your execution. Now is where the fun happens, at least for me. So instead of having some imaginary goals every year and trying to figure out how we will feel in 9 months, we only have to focus on the next 3. This allows us to be way more intentional with our actions and behaviors. And if you don't know what I mean, well, you may not be down to eat broccoli, chicken, and rice every meal for 12 months to lose some weight, but you can give it a go for 12 weeks, right? These shorter time frames give us the power to break down the lofty ass goals from our vision to manageable weekly and daily to-do lists. With the 12-week plan, you find out very quickly that every day counts. Unproductive days turn into unproductive weeks, and unproductive weeks turn into failed goals. Now double tap that screen to go back 10 seconds and listen to that again, because that is what's happening currently if you're facing the same issues that I did. Unproductive days would turn into unproductive weeks, and then it would just turn into failed goals because I let things just continue to pile without catching myself and holding myself accountable. But we'll get into that in a minute. If you do this, I want you to know that you're gonna remain in the same spot. That's why it's so important to have a deep emotional bond to your vision. Like I talked about earlier, you falling in love with a future version of yourself that is so different from the person you are today is what's going to push you daily to have agency and urgency. Now, Roy, how can I do this? How can I accomplish this? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of quick actionable insights. First things first, make tasks specific and measurable. I want you to keep your tasks positive. I also want you to set tasks that stretch your abilities. Again, lean into the uncomfortable. If you're not a good talker, you can't talk on camera for the next 30 days. Don't even post it. Just do it and rewatch every clip and take notes and get better. I also want you to promote accountability with yourself. Again, you're the only one that sees your vision or can envision your vision and sees what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to attract that vision. You need to be accountable. And then last but not least, create deadlines. This is so huge. Create deadlines. Whatever it is, if you're going to post online, if you're going to try to do a marathon, whatever it is, set a deadline on your calendar and stick to that deadline, and then reverse engineer the deadline to achieve the goals up to that point. Again, we'll get more into this in a second. But now that we have discipline 2 wrapped up, it's time to talk about discipline 3, and that's controlling your process. Controlling your process starts and ends with one thing, your weekly routine. And bro, let me tell you something. This mindset switch is so huge. We're no longer focused on the daily, but the weekly. No more binge watching hella daily routines for inspiration. That shit's out. I'm no longer doing that. I've since banned that shit from my YouTube page. We are going to be focused purely on what the week will look like. We only get 12, so we must make everyone count. Our weekly plan will dictate which tasks are required daily to generate the necessary results for our top of mind vision. We're going to plan out our whole week, and then based off of our week and what we need to get done in that week, then we're going to break down what we need to do on a daily basis, right? So if that doesn't make sense, our weekly plan will dictate which tasks are required daily to generate the necessary results for our top of mind vision. Think of our weekly routine as the foundation builder. Everything will stem off of it. So knowing that, we need to plan accordingly. Buy a weekly planner, print out one off Canva, use a Notion template, or you can try that new Time Stripe task manager that just dropped. I don't really give a fuck what you do. Just find something and stick to it for at least one 12-week cycle. Me personally, I've tried a lot. I've found that just buying some of these empty little planners off Amazon that I'll link in the description if you're interested work out pretty good for me. But I also use this in conjunction with Time Stripe right now so that I can set longer term goals that this, paper is just not going to be the best with. I like to have a digital backup to be able to track it. So you don't have to go that deep. Just honestly buy one of these, like $5-6 on Amazon, and then you could literally fill in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, and the weekend, and then have some notes on the side. This shit works great. And honestly, there's gonna be some people saying, "Oh my god, $6, bro. If you ain't got $6 to spend, bro, like you're on the wrong video, bro." You know what I'm saying? There's levels to it, and like you just like, come on, $6-7. Like, come on, we gotta get out that shit of like you don't want to spend no money. Like, spend the money to hold yourself accountable. Okay, but I'm getting off track. Let me get back into the shit. So again, whatever it is you're going to use it and stick to it. Once you land on your tracker of choice, we are going to take time at the beginning of the week. I like to do mine on Sunday night. So after this video, I'm literally going to sit down and map out my whole week to go over our upcoming game plan for this week. Now, we're going to use this time to track your progress from the previous week as well. So take whatever it is you're using to track it, look back at the week that just passed, look at what did go well and look at what didn't go well, and then plan accordingly. So if there's things that you need to fill in for this next week because you missed out on some things, do that. If there's something that went really well that you notice, like, oh, hey, on Wednesdays, I actually have more time to do stuff. Let me actually put some more things onto my Wednesday day this week. Do that, right? We need to iterate. It's not enough to just keep doing shit. You have to iterate. And this is a perfect segue into discipline 4, which is measure your progress. With your tracking item of choice, we need to start managing our progress. Very famous cliche quote, so I don't want to lose you, but it is real though. What isn't measured isn't managed. Understanding that frequent progress monitoring can raise success by 2.7x. If you use a physical tracker and public accountability, i.e. failing in public like I'm doing now, you can boost the effectiveness of goal achievement by 74% alone compared to only mental tracking. That's why I'm not scared to sit over here and say my numbers or say my dream or share my vision, because at the end of the day, it's just going to make me more likely to be successful than folks that try to hide some shit and fake it till they make it. So fail in public, fail quickly, learn from your failures, and then iterate. And sky's the limit, my boy. And the reason why I love this is because you don't have to be blind to your own progress. You are able to see the fruits of your labor. You can celebrate the micro wins that come up throughout the weeks and be proud of the momentum that you're gaining. And I've found that for the best results, you want to use quantitative tracking like numbers, metrics, and trackers with qualitative reflection, journaling, personal feedback, accountability sessions with yourself. And if that's confusing, it's basically like using your own data to ask yourself why and how did something occur or did not occur. Again, further helping the iteration phase of this whole progression into your vision. Now, be dead ass with yourself. Be relentless with your self accountability. In order to do that, you must control your process. And now we finally reached the last discipline. The last discipline, discipline number 5, is managing your time effectively. Obviously, if you want to shrink a whole 12 months into 12 weeks, we have to be able to manage our time effectively to do so. And honestly, I'm someone with ADHD, or at least I feel like I am. So this discipline was the hardest for me to even get any traction with. And I want to make it clear, like, I'm not perfect in any of these 5 disciplines, but I'm trying to get better in each one, right? And trust me when I say this discipline number 5 is the one that you're going to want to make sure you have down pat, and something that I'm literally putting in time to every day to make sure I have right. Every result that you get from the 12-week year is built upon managing your time effectively. Luckily for you though, I have something that will boost your productivity by at least 50%. It's something called time blocking, but not the time blocking that you're used to. It's not the shit where you just go on Google Calendar and try to plan out your whole day from 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. Wake up, shower, sleep. Nah, it's not that. This time blocking is so much more simpler, and it's going to fix the issue of coming to your desk and not knowing what to work on. And for me, honestly, that's one of my biggest hangups. I can wake up early, I can go to bed late, I can put the hours in, but when I come to sit at my desk, if I have no clue what to do, then I just start doing a million other things that are not conducive to accomplishing my vision. So here's the 3 daily time blocks to fix this issue. Our first block, which should be around 90 minutes. This is called the building block. I want you to set aside at least 90 minutes to build something. Anything. If you're just starting out and have no clue, then work towards building an audience. Everything starts with a crowd. Whether you're selling a product, service, or something else, you need an audience or customer base that can buy that product. And if you're going to be in the comments talking about, Roy, why is everything about money? It's not all about money, but bro, if you already working a job, they're already selling something to a customer, right? Eventually, at some point, if you want to make some dough, gotta sell something to someone, whether it be a service or a product, bro. Just get that shit in your head and get over it. You know what I'm saying? I will make a video later down the line, probably a few weeks here, about the whole profit from purpose thing that I think is really viable and going to be the next 10 to 15 year push that content creators are going to get into, where it's like you can make money from having a purpose. It's like the newfound nonprofits, but that's for another time. Once you've established your building block, it's time for the next 45-minute push. Next, we're going to focus on the publish block, which is about approximately, this is all approximations by the way, 45 minutes. That's usually what I give it. This is where we're going to aim to publish artwork. So for me, this looks like publishing to YouTube once a week. The other days I'm focused on Twitter or X. And by the way, if you haven't already, please give your boy a follow on there. They're not fucking with me. So I need help getting my numbers up, and I'll follow you back. Just drop me a DM. But whatever your mediums are, make it a daily process to upload or schedule something to get uploaded. So if you're not interested in the YouTube X thing, maybe it's Instagram and TikTok, or maybe it's LinkedIn and TikTok, or whatever it is, right? Just make sure that one of them you're putting in a lot of effort into creating high quality content, and the other one is something that you can just brain dump into and just have consistent content being uploaded so that people know you're not dead, right? Then finally, we're going to go into our maintain block. And for me, this ranges anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes every day. This is where we're going to maintain all of our projects. We're going to review data, upload docs, reply to emails. Also use this time to review finances, watch a video that you wanted to watch that has some purpose, meditate, pray, whatever it is, right? Whatever you feel you need to do to fuel you for the rest of the day, this is where we're going to do it. And honestly, me personally, I like to front load these 3 time blocks. What do I mean by front load? What I mean by front load is waking up earlier than whatever it is I have to do for that day and getting it done in the morning. So roughly I need about 2.5, 3 hours for this process. So if I have to be at work at 9 o'clock, I'm trying to get into my office and sit down at this chair by 6 a.m. If you get these things done early in the day before your 9 to 5 or the weekend or any other day, you will feel accomplished no matter how the rest of the day goes. That's why I love the concept of front loading your days. And I'm going to throw another warning out there. If you want this to work, you need to start doing this at least 5 days out of the week. So knowing this, we need to aim to have a perfect week. So some of you might be asking, what is a perfect week, right? Well, it's mapping out your whole week by first scheduling these big time blocks every day or at least 5 days a week. And then we fill in everything else that we need to do. We've talked a bit about execution along the way, but it's time to get serious about how that is accomplished. And there are 3 core principles we need to know about. These principles are going to wrap everything together for us and put a nice little bow on it, right? So the first principle is something that I have been kind of teasing along the way, and it's being accountable. This is pretty much self-explanatory, right? You have to be your own toughest critic. You know when you're bullshitting or off the grind, period, right? With personal goals and business building, it's very easy to continue to push things off further down the schedule. You need to recognize when you're putting yourself third instead of first and react accordingly. Stop playing the victim card. Don't complain, change your behavior, and try to only engage with positive people in your life. If you can do that, then you're off to a great start. Principle number 2, follow through on commitments. Accountability was our first principle. That is the ownership of your actions. Commitment 2 is a promise to perform on those actions. Commitment requires sacrifice. You won't get far if you do not understand that now. So I'm going to say it again. Commitment requires sacrifice. If you want to change, get ahead, and be dominant in your field, then you must be prepared to sacrifice. Parties, clubbing, 20 plus hours of gaming on the weekend. We have to stop these bad habits so that we can focus our energy on productive things. And if you're having trouble pulling away from these bad habits, then change your environment. And again, hopefully down the line, I will write about changing your environment because it's something that I really, truly believe in. Finally, our last principle, and that's honestly just to be great. Stop multitasking. People have this like fascination with people that can multitask. They think it's some sort of great skill. And honestly, it kind of is in some aspects, and it can be applied in certain scenarios, but it should honestly be used sparingly, right? Like, so if you have the ability to eat while you drive, that's a great way to multitask. But when you engage with a ton of activities, especially a ton of activities that involve business and health and relationships, you're really engaging in none of them. So just remember that when you engage in a ton of activities, you're really engaging with none of them. You're just going through the motions, trying to tick off a bunch of different things in one go. And this is advice to myself: slow down, triple check your work, and only create value. Take pride in your work and the rest will come. I promise. Wow. So yep, that was a lot. We finally have everything we need to succeed in our 12-week year. This game plan will undoubtedly get us ahead of 95% of people. I can assure you that. But again, be warned that even if you falter just a little bit in just one aspect of what we talked about, then you run the danger of becoming average again. It's okay to have an off day, but don't let that bleed into your whole week. When you start this mind shift, you may see your 12 weeks playing out something like this. Weeks 1 through 4 is going to be the habit building zone. You should be staying focused and motivated. The principles that we covered should be motivating you for an optimal experience. In weeks 5 through 8, the motivation should have worn off by now. You should start to lack the urgency and be much more susceptible to distraction. Don't give in, build mental fortitude. Your future you will thank you for it. In weeks 9 through 12, you should see some sort of positive benefit from the work you've put in up to this point, whether it's more views on a video of your content or some pounds getting dropped on the scale. Whatever it is, we should be seeing at least some progress, even if it's just a little bit. All right, there you have it. The complete guide to getting ahead of 95% of people, at least according to me, right? Simple enough, but I think you guys have the tools to use that should help pave you for an amazing start to your journey. Shoot me a message on X or my website in the description below if you need support. Let's motivate each other. Subscribe, comment, like, all the regular YouTube bullshit. I'm gonna see you guys on the next video.